Welcome to the 4 Habits podcast, where we help you build relationships that thrive at home, at work, and in life. We're Dr. Andrea and Jon Taylor-Cummings, and every week we bring you actionable insights to create meaningful connections and lasting success. So let's dive in.
Hello and welcome. Today we have the all-important conversation around careers, personal branding, goal setting, and personal development. And in the studio with us, we are delighted to have himself, Tom O'Neill, all the way from New Zealand. Welcome, Tom.
Well, as we say in New Zealand, kia ora. Actually, another way of saying it is tēnā koutou. So thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So looking forward to the conversation. As I said earlier, if ever there's a need for this conversation, it's now. But as our audience knows, we need to give you the proper introduction. So, John, why not share the bio?
And they'll now see the relevance, why we say what we're saying here. So Tom O'Neill is an award-winning international speaker, best-selling author, and career strategist whose work has inspired audiences from Auckland to Austin around the world. So known for his engaging humor and practical wisdom, Tom has a rare gift for making big ideas feel both achievable and fun. Qualified psychologist with 30 years experience in human resources and recruitment, including some consulting work with Deloitte, Tom now leads cv.co.nz, a top careers consultancy. He is the author of The 1% Principle by HarperCollins and also The New Rules for Job Hunting. And he's also a contributor to the Harvard Business Review, The Economist, and the global career classic, What Color is Your Parachute? Tom's presentations blend real-world insights with tangible takeaways, whether he's showing how 1% daily improvements create transformational change, uncovering the science of happiness, or reframing failure as the fuel for success. Interesting take there. Now, drawing on psychology and years of observing high-performing teams, Tom shares how the same small, consistent habits that grow a career also strengthen our personal and professional relationships, and that's the bit we're really trying to get involved in here, and how that helps build trust, improve communication, and keep connection alive over the long term. So, Tom, we are so looking forward to this conversation.
Indeed.
So many insights you've developed over the years to share, but help us understand what are some of the things that you've seen over time that impact relationships the most. And I know that's jumping in quite deeply there, but from the insights that you've gathered over the years, what are you seeing as impacting relationships?
Trust.
Wow.
Just trust.
Right there.
There we go. All humanity comes down to trust. I think, love is trust. Everything is trust. And trust is not something that happens immediately. It's something that takes time. I've been married to my wife, Sarah, now for coming up 22 years. And, over time, I hope, I've earned that trust with my wife as she certainly has with me. And I think a lot of times we try and shortcut trust in relationships, try and find shortcuts in our careers, shortcuts in our finances, shortcuts in here and there. And realistically, things take time. And I think personally myself, all the deep relationships I have are based on that trust. It's something hard to create and very easy to destroy.
Indeed.
Yeah, you mentioned trust, and I want to jump in there quickly with an aside, because we've had the I'm not quite so sure it's joy, but we've been watching a TV program here with our kids recently. I don't know if it reaches the shores of New Zealand, but something called Love Island. I don't want to promote it.
Yeah.
But just when you speak about trust, just recognizing that, I mean, we've only watched a couple of the episodes here, but just it seems like what all these young people are trying to do is develop that trust in a very short space of time, and the trust keeps getting broken. They're like, no, this isn't working here. So I'm intrigued that you start with the word trust, because it's just so foundational to relationships. We're all grappling at it. Not too many people know how to go about building their trust there.
That was a bit of a serious side detour.
Bit of a side detour there, but it'll come.
Straight into Love Island. There we go. Message for our time. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. But trust
But
is so at the core.
Well, I guess the main message is that we're promoting one thing
Yeah.
and desperately seeking and in
Mm.
need of something completely
Yeah.
different. And trust is not something that you can create in a moment on
Yeah.
television.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime. But let's take a step back.
Back to the seriousness.
I know. Let's take a step back because I love the intersection that you talk about with career and personal branding, which people want to be gung ho and on point about, and you mix that with goal setting and personal development, more of a longer term. Who am I? Where am I going? What have you observed in the way people treat careers compared to how we treat personal development and this longer term, lifelong
Yeah.
pursuit of things that really matter?
Yeah, the reason I got into sort of personal development, I suppose more holistic humanness, I started in recruitment and HR, recruitment, HR management consultant for Deloitte and all that sort
Mhm.
of stuff, recruiting CFOs and all those exciting things. But during my time in recruitment, I just again and again and again, and bear in mind I'm in my 20s, early 30s, and just seeing people in their 50s, 40s, 50s, top of their game, really, 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 career-wise on fire. And then you dig a little deeper and you find actually that the marriage is on the rocks, the health is really bad. Financially, even though they're bringing in lots of money, they're, extending themselves with, fancy cars and properties that are actually just outside their limit. And it really made me think that actually we need balance.
Hmm.
Like we certainly focus. So many of us just focus really, let's say 60% of our life on a career, and then with
Mhm.
whatever's left, okay, 12% my marriage, 6% my health, 4% for each of my three kids, and
Yeah.
suddenly, and then 2% my mental health. And then you got to ask yourself, well, there's a few things. A, we're working for what? Just for an early grave. Um, and
Wow.
also, what happens if it's taken away? You're this high flying executive, suddenly you got made redundant. And I see this time and again, really, really top people losing their jobs. And suddenly they're like, who am I? What have I
Mhm.
spent the last 20 years doing? I'm on marriage 3. My kids won't speak to me. I'm driving a really nice car. I can't afford it.
Mm.
All this stuff. And
Yeah.
it's like a car crash in all the other areas of their life, but one area they're really great. They're a really great executive. And again,
Mhm.
that is really, I suppose, for me, what made me look wider than just careers. I love careers. I mean, my consultancy works with people literally around the world. It's amazing.
Mm.
Um, but we still my message is balance.
Mhm.
Balance that the marriage that you've worked so hard to try and build trust for. Your kids, why are we doing all this? Are we doing it to get that promotion or to get that trip to Tahiti as the bonus, or are we doing it to actually, be there for our kids and give them that love and support they desperately need at a, key time in their life? So for
Mm.
me, it's that holistic approach that we have to take. And so just coming back to another part of your question, it's funny because people spend a lot of time thinking about their career, but they think almost nothing about personal development. Something like
Indeed. Yeah.
5-10% of people have written goals about what they want to do with their life, and this is across the board. And so that's why I wrote my book, The 1% Principle. What's one thing I can do
Mhm.
today to improve my life by 1%? Because most people will never even put a pen to paper about goals. So it was really a heart cry to try and get people to at least think about mini goals to have a better life.
Yeah. And have you found that since COVID, there is maybe more openness to this idea of balance? Have
Mhm.
you noted a shift in what people are after?
Yeah, I think that is true. Certainly here in the bottom of the world in New Zealand. Yeah, I
Might be at
mean,
the top, actually.
your point, yeah. We believe we are. But yeah, certainly an executive recruitment survey just came out last week, and it said the ability to work remotely now is mandatory. Pre-COVID wasn't really even a thing. After COVID, it sort of became an option, and now executives are going, no, that's part of my package. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a non-negotiable. There's no, oh look, can I have this? It's like, well, it's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Employees going, top talent going to employers and saying, well, that's just part of it. 1 day a week or 2 days a week, no problem. So just people really taking the power back to some extent. I wrote a national column on careers and employment for years and years, and I was always banging on, this is pre-COVID, about, hey, we should work from home, but it's almost as if senior management HR didn't trust everybody. They thought
Indeed, that
we're all
word
going to be
again,
down,
right?
the pub, pretending we're at work. And then COVID came in, and suddenly the world management of the world thought, actually, we can trust our staff. As a rule, people actually do want to still work for us, even when they're working from home. So that was a massive, massive shift, obviously. And for us, certainly here and what I've experienced around the world, it's continued.
Indeed.
Although, in fairness, I think in recent months, certainly over the last year, we've seen certainly the pressure coming back again from the executives to say we need people back in the office.
Yeah.
Coming out of the US as well, the edict there in terms of people returning into the office being visible and present. So maybe that's sort of challenging the boundaries of trust coming back again.
Absolutely. I think that's interesting because pre-COVID, Yahoo was one of the first to get people back into the office, sort of deal. And that was a real shake-up because people, this was like, wow, this is the IT sector. It's supposed to be, really out there and doing cool stuff. Suddenly, and I think there is going to be a clash with real top talent, really top-end talent. They're going to go, no, actually, I'd much rather have, 80,000 less or 500,000 less, whatever they're on, and actually have that more flexibility. Because at that level, there's a lot more negotiation for people in middle management, etc. Maybe you got to go back, and that's just how it is. But certainly for top talent, there's a lot more give and take.
And I was going to say, just on me for a second, and we've seen it in evidence because one of the organizations we worked with, one of the teams that have probably the most diversity on all levels in terms of geographic diversity in the team, the whole shooting match, they're diverse on many levels. They actually, in their employee engagement survey, were recognized as being not only the nicest team to work in, but they also had the top results. So now you've got the attention of the bigwigs. But before those results came out, in the whole return to work kind of drive that happened soon after COVID, interestingly, their organization said, look, we want everybody back in the office. I can't remember what it was now. It's a certain number of days, 3 or 4 days a week. And actually, the team lead here said, this isn't going to work for my team. This is just not going to work for them. And they're already delivering results. And she knew that. And actually, so she went to bat for them, saying, actually, guys, you know what? Let's do what we're doing. I'll take the flak. I'll go up there and I'll fight for you guys to keep the flexibility that we have in the team that really works for us. And it took her, I think it was the better part of 9 months or 12 months to keep batting until the organization said, actually, that's fine. And then the results came out that these guys are not only the nicest team to work in, but also have the top results. So she's like, I knew this all along. Organization, can you not just hear this? If we try and force these people to come back in full time, we're going to kill that and lose these good people. So to your point there, the good people are actually working in a way that works for them flexibly and still delivering the top results. So why force them to come back in a way that doesn't work for them anymore?
Unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's that control. It's just I want control over your life. Everyone's got to come back. And at the end of the day, if you've got a team that's just killing it, why would you possibly change that? I mean, I got to
Indeed.
say, I never forget a story similar to this. There was a sales team, and what they would do is everyone had to sell, say, 50 widgets a day, sort of deal. So what would happen? Whoever got to 50 first would then jump on the calls of someone else and help them get to 50, and then they
Okay.
would then jump on with the other two people and help them get to 50. So basically, normally it would take, for an average person all day to get to 50. But when they all worked together, they were all knocking off at sort of 1 o'clock.
Wow.
And they'd hit the targets, and they were the KPIs that the organisation set, and that was it. It's what they wanted. And then, of course, the ruiners come in, the HR and the senior management. Oh, well, hold on, you can't do that. Da da da. So the whole team basically resigned. So they had this amazing team of people who worked together, respected each other, trusted each other, worked for each
Mm,
other, killing it, just
mm,
nailing it. Results every single day, always meeting KPI. And their reward was they could knock off 2 or 3 hours early because
Yeah.
they'd achieved the results. But of course, that wasn't good enough. And
mm,
suddenly, oh no, well that's it. We need to change it up. It's like, well,
mm.
but yeah,
I know. Crazy.
Somebody thought maybe they could sell 60 or 70 widgets if they stayed that little bit longer,
yeah,
stretch
yeah,
the numbers out
yeah,
there or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually
No.
think they had that ability. If people wanted to stick around and sell some more, they were welcome to.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
then it
Yeah.
became, hey, I've done my job. Now I can stick around and get, make some more money, or do my pay, and thanks very much. So it was that
Yeah.
nice sort of utopia that only
Yeah. You
lasted for a
position
little
it,
while.
yeah, position it like that and position it well. Absolutely. People are happy to
Yeah,
go the extra mile and
yeah,
do more.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm sure you're seeing, well, I should ask the question, what difference are you seeing in the expectations of the newer workforce,
Mm,
like Gen Z, just before Gen Z was that Gen X,
yeah.
in their expectations around pursuing career versus balance? And then I'll ask my next question about, so
Yeah.
what do we do next?
So certainly with my experience with younger generations, yeah, I think they want more from their employer in terms of opportunities, development, and so on. I think a lot of the older generation, self included, you're happy, you have your job, you do your job. Maybe you get promoted, maybe there's some development opportunities. But I think younger people now are a bit more switched on in terms of
Mhm.
long-term development of their career. That does create conflict, I think, from probably some more senior older managers. They're like, well, hold on, mate. You can't start talking about 5 years down the road. You've only been here 3 years. So yeah, but I think young people are a bit more switched on in terms of just knowing, at least being aware of their longer term career goals, and at least being I think for older people, you wouldn't even think about it. You just go to work, and then suddenly, when you get frustrated, you go and get a different job, and then you get promoted, and oh, that's great. And then you do that for a bit, and then suddenly your mate's got a job opening somewhere else. Oh, you go there. I call it falling up the ladder,
Yeah.
where you just don't really think about it, and you just kind of fall up. I met a CFO once, and incredibly successful woman, and I said to her, how did you end up here? And she goes, I don't really know.
Oh, wow.
mm, mm,
She
mm,
just did a great job, got promoted, moved somewhere else, did a great job, got promoted a couple of times, moved somewhere else, boom, CFO. There was no strategy. And I think what
mm,
younger people do, try and have some of that strategy. I think also they want more out of the employer-employee relationship. I
mhm,
think
mhm.
older people, more mature people, we tend to just sort of go, yeah, right, cool, you give me money, I'll do the job, thanks. Where younger people want to be a bit more switched on in terms of um, work-life balance and those sort of things. So, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So, for a younger person starting out now, how would you advise them to be intentional about
Mm,
careers and personal branding,
yeah.
and at the same time be intentional about goal setting and their own
Mm.
longer term development?
So if someone was, let's say, 22, I'd say to them, all right,
Mhm.
where do you want to be in 10 years' time? You know, where do you want to be financially? Where do you want to be maritally? Where do you want to be health-wise? Where do you want to be career-wise? Okay, great. That's, and you map those things out. Okay, cool. So 5 years from there, for you to be a chief marketing officer or a chief financial officer or, financial director, whatever it is, what do you need to be doing in 5 years' time from now? What qualifications do you need? Do you need to start work towards an MBA? You want to, kick off and get married, maybe have children. Okay, great. Well, 5 years from now, you need to start sort of, not just having, short-term relationships. You need to start thinking about, commitment and that sort of stuff financially. Okay, if you want to be independent in 10 years' time, what does that look like in 5 years' time? And then you come back one more time to a year from now. Okay, so to get my MBA, what do I need to start thinking about now? Do I need to start saving? Do I need to start talking to my employer? In terms of health, I want to be able to run marathons in 10 years' time. Okay, great. Well, I can hardly walk down the street at the moment. Okay, cool. So maybe I can just do a couple of Ks, or miles, just to get into that shape. So again, breaking it all down, having an end goal. And I mean, don't get me wrong, 10 years is not that far away. But for a young person, it's a million years away.
It's a million.
Exactly.
I mean, when someone says to me 10 years away, I think almost tomorrow now at 54. But when I was 22, it's like, oh, mate, it's just, woof, I'll be all driving flying cars then. So really thinking about that from more of a strategic view and then coming backwards, I think it's a great strategy for that.
Yeah, and that would be a great starting point mentally to just kind of set the goal. But the other thing that we're observing for both young and old is almost an assumption that once you get the job, your manager will look after your career development. So they turn up to performance reviews without any clarity on what they're being measured on, what they need to demonstrate to get promoted to the next level. So that's like even falling up internally, subject to the manager that they have. How would you advise them to be even more on purpose in the job?
That's a wonderful question. And most people did never even think to ask that question, People need to take control of their own careers. Simple as that. New Zealand organisations are making people redundant left, right and centre. Large government organisations, the safe ones that never make people redundant. Our health department here, Te Whatu Ora in New Zealand, just made quarter of their IT staff redundant. Quarter.
Wow.
It's just crazy. So suddenly these professionals who thought they had a safe career, gone. Absolutely gone. And so we need to remember, we are, even though we're in a safe job, we're still, one decision away from, looking for a new one. So I think, again, we just need to consistently be thinking, where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? And then even beyond that, what's a legacy I want to leave long term, But so coming back though internally, I was working as an HR consultant for an organisation, and one of the customer services team came down and really switched on young woman who we just knew was a high performer, and her boss was doing performance reviews, and 1 was terrible, 5 was awesome. She just gave everyone 3. And so this customer services person was ropeable. She came down and complained. I said, look, this is what you do. Write down all your achievements for the last 12 months. And she goes, oh, I've got no achievements. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, you train the new people who join your team. Oh, yeah, okay. You help set up that new software product that, makes it easy to scan everything. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, da-da-da. And so she actually had some really great achievements in her job. She was just competent, and she just got the opportunity to do more stuff. And she took those opportunities. But you then got to market those opportunities at the appropriate time. And so I said, write it all down and then respectfully ask for another meeting with your boss. So she went and wrote it all down, and she thought, gee whiz, I've done heaps of cool stuff. And then had the meeting and got bumped up to a 1 because she could prove it. Because instead of just sitting there and being angry, she actually took practical steps in a rational way to to really approach her boss in a way that her boss couldn't argue with. It was done respectfully, but at the same time, it was done in a way that it's pretty hard to say, no, you didn't train all those people when you know that she had. No, you didn't put together that software program and, implement it successfully when you know that they had. And so, again, we need, as employees, to take control and think about opportunities for personal development training. Put your hand up for special projects. Put your hand up when there's opportunities to help design new systems and all those sort of things, whatever it is, because it means you're just going to become more effective and more useful to your organization. And
Indeed.
also more useful when you go to market yourself for other opportunities.
Yeah,
for sure.
I want to pick up on that. I mean, that's really interesting to hear that, but I want to pick up on another trend that we're clearly everybody's seeing across the world now. And I know the sun rises in New Zealand before it rises where we are on this further back here. What are you seeing as the impact of AI coming down the track here? How is that? I mean, I know it's a huge question here, but in terms of preparing people, getting their CVs right, preparing themselves for that career, which may not be there in 5 years and 3 years' time, what are you seeing? Any tips that you're seeing there that you can share with people here?
I think there's two sorts of people: those who are terrified of it and will run from it and will be left behind. And those who think, all right, well, it's coming. It's like the internet, there were people who thought, oh no, the internet, this is crazy. And next thing, here we are. And things like AI, I just did a Google AI Essentials course just to get myself specced up. It was online. It took a week. It was great because trying to stay on top of this sort of stuff. I think it's having a bit of a stilted start at the moment. It's sort of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back at the moment in terms of just some of the media stories and those sort of things. But at the end of the day, it's a force. It's here to stay. It is what it is. So, just really need to, I think, become aware of AI in every area of your life. Customer services, AI. Engineering, AI. Whatever it is, HR, AI. It's just that part of what's there now. And not being afraid of it and trying to some degree partner with it in terms of your own learning and your own development, because that's where it's going in the future. It's quite funny though. We kind of see it as either this great terrible thing that's going to come and destroy us all, or the great thing that's going to solve all our problems. And I just always think about with CV writing or resume writing in the States. You can just type up a CV and boom, there it is. But the difference, I think, between professional CV writer like ourselves is you help someone understand their value. It's one thing to say I'm a sales rep, I do this and do that and do this and do that. That's what all the sales reps do. What sets you apart. And so again, when I got published on What Color Is Your Parachute, world's best-selling career guide, that was with my tool, the Achievements Questionnaire, that helps people quantify their achievements that sell them. And then through that's how they market themselves. And the thing is, AI won't know that, you help set up that new system and you help coach and mentor new staff, that you actually are the acting manager when the manager's away, that you develop those new systems internally that were really great, were then rolled out to the other branches. AI is not going to know that. And so again, it's up to us to know that stuff so we can market ourselves rather than, just lean on something which is in many ways fantastic, but in some ways a bit lazy.
Yeah. If we could pull together the themes, the trend with AI, the trend with, this remote working hybrid and therefore not as visible and therefore needing to be intentional about your career, and this theme of relationships, how would you marry those up to say the role that relationships will have to play in your work life and in your life going forward, given the technological trends, the AI trends, and so on? What role does relationships play in that?
Relationships, I think, if anything, will be even more important.
Hmm.
I think with technology, social media, I think, has really destroyed a lot of true relationships with fake relationships. We've got all these Facebook friends, and we're watching everyone doing all this cool stuff on Facebook. My wife calls it your highlight reel. You don't put. I'm
Good
doing the
one.
dishes now. Had a fight with my wife, so I'm going to put that on. You don't put that on. You put, oh, everything's awesome. And so we're always
Yeah.
getting this false narrative about society, about the people that we know.
Mm.
Yeah, it's interesting psychologically what that maybe does to people. I know for young people here in New Zealand, it creates a heap of problems in terms of false expectations, in terms of their lives and who they're meant to be and who they should be, and all those sort of things. I think AI, to some extent, may make things worse in the
Mm.
context of getting people focusing. Like, one thing I can't understand is Mark Zuckerberg spent billions of dollars on Meta, right? This fake
Hmm.
world where we all go in and hang out in whatever way, shape, or form we want. And it was like, I just can't quite understand how you can actually do that in real life.
Mm.
You can't actually go and meet people and actually hang out. And so I think relationships will be. I think we've lost our way to some degree with the internet in terms of deep relationships.
Mm.
In New Zealand, for example, men as we get older tend to shed relationships. It just as they get older, it's your mate Pete. I haven't seen Pete for ages, and then suddenly, you haven't seen Pete for 3, 5, 10 years. Um, and so um, the internet is great in some ways. You can see what Pete's up to, but is that a genuine relationship? Probably not.
Mm.
If you haven't actually been out with Pete or had Pete over to your house for 10 years. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. Relationships, I think, are just deep, trusting relationships are just going to be more important, I think, as people face more mental health crises through, things like AI and things just really losing their way on the internet, where they're just focusing on themselves, because the problem is it has it there for us. Whatever interest you
Yeah.
have, it's there. So why bother
Yeah.
having actual friends in real life? And that's where I think the tragedy is.
Mm.
Now, I haven't had a chance to check this out yet, but I was hearing just yesterday somebody was sharing with me that some of these dating agencies, a couple of the big ones, have gone out of business recently. As I say, I haven't had a chance to check it out, but the message that was being communicated is actually there's a trend away from the online dating or finding your partner online. People are moving back to old school, old fashioned, getting out there and meeting people. I
Yeah,
don't know if you've heard of that or seen that. And indeed,
absolutely. Yeah,
if that is true, what is something in your experience? Is there maybe from the 1% principle? Is there one thing that people can be doing to actually get back to the old school, get back to
yeah,
connecting with people online, and not online, in person,
yeah,
getting
yeah,
out
yeah.
there and doing relationships in person?
Absolutely. I know of two guys, one in his 30s, just been divorced, and yeah, poor guy, wonderful guy, gee whiz, and yeah, he'd be perfect guy. And he was on dating apps for a bit and thought, ages are terrible. Another young guy, really successful young man, and he tried them, just nah, it's just not for him. It just
Mm,
turns into a sort of a market,
mm,
rather than trying to find trust, trying
yeah,
to find relationships that you can trust. It's just this market of humans. Um, yeah, so I think really finding something you're passionate about. So, for example, if you're into the gym, go to the gym, meet people at the gym. If you're into sports, go and get into your sports and just start to meet people and just engage engage in society rather than, just sit at home on the PC, playing World of Warcraft or whatever it is. Get out there and just actually engage in life. When we're 90, sitting in the rocking chair, looking back on our life, we're not going to remember the 700 hours of World of Warcraft we played when we were young. We're going to remember those stories of meeting, that girl or guy, in that funny situation and the cool thing that happened when we went to the beach that day. We're going to remember those stories. We're not going to remember killing a 16th level orc, outside some fake village somewhere, and at 2 a.m. when you got work at, 5 hours from now.
Exactly.
That this is the thing. We need to be, I say, make moments that create lives. Be intentional to create the moments. One thing I've tried to do, I haven't always been successful, but have tried to do in my life with my family is create moments. Like actually create, we'll go, when the kids are little, we'd go and put the tent out in the yard and we'd go and stay overnight in the tent, when the kids were really small, 4 and 5. And they were like, this is awesome. For me, I'm like, it's cold, my back's sore, they're lying all over me, I can hardly move. Couldn't think of anything better than being in bed with my wife. But, that was just such an awesome time in retrospect, because I'll never, I won't get that back. I mean, the 20 and 21, they're not that keen to go camping with Dad in the backyard anymore. Believe it, it's crazy. I know. But again, getting out there and just doing things, living life. And again, coming back to the 1% principle, what's one thing I can do today to improve my life by 1%, or someone else's life by 1%, or my marriage by 1%, or whatever it is? What's something I can do? Something I can do this week, to get out there and just meet someone new. Have a challenge meeting someone new this week. How can I do that?
So that's a great place to kind of end the conversation. When you, with all the conversations you've had about 1% principle, what are the 1% principle? What are the maybe top 5 things that we should consider having a 1% improvement on each day or each week?
Yeah. I personally would just sort of think, okay, what are the key areas in my life, right? So Christian born myself, so spiritual, health, career, marriage, and let's say finance, right? So okay, cool. So those are the areas I'm going to focus on this week. Now there's other areas, challenge, friends, all these other things. We can do those another week. But this week I'm going to focus on these points. So let's say financial. Okay, cool. What I'm not going to do this week is buy my lunch. I'm going to make my lunch and take it to work, or whatever it is. So suddenly I'm going to save myself, $40, $50. You do that every week of the year. You're saving thousands of dollars. I mean, I know for me, one thing that was really amazing when I was young, 22, I used to have 2 sugars in my coffee. Then went to 23, had 1.5, cut down to half. 24, 1 sugar. 25, cut down to half a sugar. 26, half a sugar. 54, half a sugar. So haven't quite got off half a sugar, but I actually sat down and figured out how much sugar I didn't eat. Over 300 kilograms of sugar, that terrible refined sugar, I haven't eaten over my life, because I chose at 24 to have half a sugar less, or 20 to have half a sugar less. And that just got to a point where, bam, you're just trying to live just that little bit better. The problem is if we don't think about change in a deep way, we kind of think, oh, we need to lose weight. So you just go on this crazy diet, you lose lots of weight, and then 6 months later you're back where you were. We need to think about change being sustainable, something that's little that I can do, and you just over time build it into something that is ongoing. For me, I have a prayer time, and I used to do 2 minutes a day. And, I just thought, oh, that's not very long, but oh well. And then it was 4 minutes, and then 6 minutes, then 10 minutes, and 20 minutes. And now I wake up and I'm excited. I'm going to have half an hour of prayer, and that's great. I just love it. And it's become part of my life. And it's one of those things that now if I don't have it, like, far out, I sort of dropped the ball today. And these sort of things, these life-affirming actions, they're really, really important to do. One thing I will say also is there's the negative 1% principle. When we just drop the ball just that little bit today, and then tomorrow we just drop the ball that little bit more. And then suddenly, we end up actually working away from our goals. Not, we don't suddenly wake up and go and rob a bank. But, it's those little decisions over 4, 5, 6 years that end up, my best option's to rob a bank today, sort of deal, So a lot of people are actually living the minus 1%. Just every day they're just going that little bit backwards.
Wow.
And that's just tragic. In actual fact, if we can just try and be just focused every day on just something a little bit different, just work, what's something I can do to bring a bit of joy to my colleagues today? Is there a new system or template I can have a little bit of a tweak to try and make it a little bit more effective? All these sort of things.
That's such an amazing reminder of the power of being consistent with very small things, and just how we can literally change our life and change the trajectory by staying on, firstly, writing them down, being clear what the goals are, and then doing something small, making a habit of doing something small in that direction. As the saying goes, we overestimate what we can get done in a day and underestimate what we can get done in a year.
Oh, yeah.
So a really good reminder to get clear on the goals and get consistent in doing 1% change, something towards it.
And
Brilliant.
I was reminded, I was just thinking back to our weekend. So as you said, if you drop the ball a little bit and keep dropping the ball, then sometimes picking the ball back up, you can't pick it up anymore. So it was our son's birthday at the weekend, and one of the things, he's very much into his exercise. And one of the things we got him was this, I guess, a station where you can do dips. So it's sort of like 2 bars that you can hold on to and do your dips. And of course, the family were around, and everybody saying, "Oh, well, this dipping station. Let's try and do some dips." And there were those like, "Well, I can do 1 or 2, and I haven't been to the gym in a couple of months, so I won't be able to do any." And it just reminded me, if you drop the ball a few times, when the time comes to pick that ball back up, now it's a whole different thing.
Absolutely,
Very
and that works across in everything: financial, relationships, health, mental health, career. All those sort of things, if we take our eye off the ball. And again, what I'm conscious of not doing is laying us with all these things we must do. But realistically, we can just keep on top of our lives just with little positive things every day. And just really trying just to work forward day by day, little bit by little bit, to live the life we want to live.
Yeah.
Amazing. There's so much that we could keep talking about. But Tom, how do people find you and connect with you? I know we have cv.co.nz, but how can people reach you and discover more?
Yeah, cool. So for career coaching, cv.co.nz, that's right. Also, in terms of personal development, I have Tom O'Neill, TOMONEIL.com. That's basically the portal from keynote speaking and my Compass goal setting program and those sort of things. So,
So tell us again, so that they can contact you for support with the CV, for support with careers, for support with keynote speaking, and what was the other one?
And goal setting, my Compass goal setting program, personal development program.
Compass, right. Amazing.
Beautiful. Well, we put some of those links in the show notes as well. But it's been great having you, Tom. Great having your insights, having you share your insights from all the way. This is beyond down under. Australia's down under. New Zealand's even further down.
Yeah, that's right. Keep on trucking. Next stop, Antarctica. That's sort of pretty much where we are.
Amazing. As we said at the beginning, a really important conversation for our times and really helpful. I'll be sharing this with all my next generation, children and nieces and nephews, to just become clearer on the goal, set the direction for life, and then put the 1% habits in place to move in that direction. Just be on purpose about careers and personal branding and goal setting and personal development. That's
Absolutely.
a great note to end on from where we started as well. Really important conversation. Thank you.
A real privilege and a real blessing. Thank you very much. It's an awesome honor to be on the show. So thank you.
Our
Right.
joy.
Well, to our audience around the world, that's from the other side, from the Americas all the way through to New Zealand. We say thank you again for being with us, for tuning in. Go share the word. There's some really good stuff in here to share with the people around you. And we'll see you again next time. But for now,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the 4 Habits podcast. Now, if today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget, take our free relationship skills quiz at the4habits.com/skills quiz to start improving your relationships today. Hit subscribe and we'll see you next time.